Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next hour, results to India's general elections to be announced on June 4. Political parties and electorate wait with bated breath. Exit polls predict the ruling NDA retaining a third term in power. Prime Minister Modi holds a series of meetings on issues related to extreme weather and associated preparedness. Meetings also put into perspective World Environment Day on June 5. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterates that Israel's conditions to end the conflict with Hamas have not changed. The targeted IDF operations continue in Gaza. Real Madrid win the 15th UEFA Champions League title, the 5th for coach Ancelotti. Carvajal and Vinicius Jr. score for the winners. Let's get to the latest now, the world's largest election in India. The voting for the general election 2024 concluded on June 1, bringing an end to the last phase of India's federal democratic cycle. Voting for 543 seats was conducted across a 7-phase election over the past 50 days. The Election Commission of India is all geared up now for the result day, which is scheduled for June 4. All steps have been taken to ensure transparent and secure counting. The counting of votes will kick off at 8 a.m. Indian Standard Time. And the Election Commission of India on Saturday issued a handbook to poll officials ahead of the counting of votes of the recently held general elections. The counting of votes for the general election and the state assembly elections of Andhra Pradesh and Odisha, and also the by-elections to assembly constituencies, shall be held on the 4th of June starting at 8 in the morning. The Chief Election Commissioner, Rajiv Kumar, along with the Election Commissioners Gyanesh Kumar and Sukhbir Singh Sandhu, had reviewed the counting day preparations with all Chief Electoral Officers and returning officers. The counting trends and results as per the data entered by the RO, the returning officer or the assistant returning officer, for the assembly constituencies and parliamentary constituencies will be available on the Election Commission of India's website as well as on the Voter Helpline app, which is available both in iOS and Android modes. These apps can be downloaded. The Voter Helpline app can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Play Store. The poll body has also issued a handbook for the returning officers and the counting agents available on the ECI website. So the Election Commission of India has provided central forces, in fact, to prevent any untoward incident in post or possible post-poll violence. Based on the assessment provided by states and central observers, Andhra Pradesh and West Bengal have been provided with security forces for 15 days after counting. Uttar Pradesh, Odisha, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh have also been provided with security forces till 2 days after counting. And Deepika Mehta is in Varanasi and she joins us now with more. Deepika, what are the preparations like for counting day?
Good evening, Mark. The preparations are in full swing for the counting day. Today, the last leg of training is going on for all the people who would be undertaking the counting process. Now, the counting would be happening and a temporary setup has been made for the counting process. There are around 9 rooms which have been dedicated for the counting process, out of which 8 belongs to the assembly constituencies and 1 for the returning officers, where all the returning officers would be sitting and would be cross-verifying all the counting that will come come from the 8 different constituencies and 8 different rooms. If we talk about security, the entire area, right from the area where the entrance of the agents would be taking place to the area covering the RO, which is the returning officers, everything is under CCTV surveillance. Not only this, there is 2 layers of security. One is the internal and the second is the external level of security, which has also been assured. Apart from that, thorough frisking will take place of all the agents, of all the personnel who are involved in the entire counting process, that the Election Commission is ensuring. And also no mobile phones or any other electronic device would be entertained inside once it goes inside. And a cross-verification of all the counting process would also be ensured by all the returning officers. Not only this, because we've been seeing that there are many tweets which are claiming that the polling agents are not being allowed inside the counting booths. But we had a word. We interacted with the Election Commission officials here in Varanasi, and they ensured us that they would allow the polling agents thoroughly inside it, and there is no question or no stopping of the polling agents. However, they have to follow the security protocol. So this is the entire security setup which has been ensured for the counting, which is all set to take place day after tomorrow.
Indeed, Deepika, and so put it also into context for us, since the exit polls were announced yesterday. What are the expectations like? After all, you are in a key constituency of Varanasi. Deepika, looks like our connection seems to have got, we seem to be disconnected with Deepika, and now I'm told we are getting Shama Mishra on the line. Shama is joining us from Mumbai with an update. Shama, what are the poll preparation? I mean, I beg your pardon, the counting preparations like in Mumbai?
Well, the counting preparations are already in place, and given the fact that it is from 7 a.m. in the morning, we'll start getting the updates. The centers are also all well equipped with security personnel, with all the necessary arrangements in place, because we understand that Maharashtra is a key state and has the maximum number of seats just after Uttar Pradesh. So in Maharashtra also, if you're seeing that the number 48 was really intense and complex, even in the campaigning, even in the polling. And we are also seeing that a large number of voters this year, they have decided, a large number of first-time voters, they have decided to come out and fulfill their duties. So all this will be, the results of all this will be out on 4th. And since morning, all the, not just Doordarshan, but all the press people would be stationed at various counting centers, at the, headquarters of poll parties, of the political parties, because as and when the numbers start getting announced, as and when the trends start coming out, the celebrations or the other factors that are going to come out, that will decide what is the fate of the state of Maharashtra.
Right. So we were talking to Deepika a little earlier, and she was talking about polling agents being allowed to enter the the counting station, and also you did mention a little bit also about media personnel being allowed. How many people are actually allowed into that counting center? Shama, tell us.
Well, usually we have a pass, and it is this arrangement is kind of tents are made, and whoever is the main the persons who are allowed inside the counting centers, they will be there, and time and again there'll be some updates coming out to the media personnel, and media personnel will have to wait outside where the seating arrangement is done, where the waiting arrangement is done, and they cannot enter where the counting is taking place. So only the people who are having, only the press people who are having their passes will be allowed in the counting centers, and they will also be given time, that in 2 hours or in 1 hour, there'll be updates about particular constituency, about a particular seat, and only then they will be allowed to give out the numbers. And if I'm allowed to, talk about the exit polls of Maharashtra, I've already mentioned that Maharashtra is one of the complex states for the entire country, and just after Uttar Pradesh, it has the maximum number of seats. So this time around, if we are comparing it with 2019 results, BJP over here is securing the maximum number of seats. However, it is, in comparison to 2019, so it is getting a little blow. It is getting a small blow, and the reason being that Eknath Shinde and the Shiv Sena, the parent Shiv Sena, they were broken. The NCP, Sharad Pawar, the parent company, the parent
Yes.
political party, they were broken. So somewhere or the other, there has been, a confusion. There has been some kind of anger in people, in the voters, because
Right.
a large number of voters, a large number of Marathi people still associate themselves with Uddhav Thackeray, still associate themselves with Bal Thackeray, and for them it is Uddhav Thackeray. And even when the party split, people did think that their votes should be going to Uddhav Thackeray. So this time around here, over here, we are seeing that the situation has become. If BJP had taken all the seats on its own, they would have gained a lot more compared to 2019. But this time around, they went with Eknath Shinde of Shiv Sena and also Ajit Pawar of NCP. So their popularity, the Shiv Sena's,
Yes.
Eknath Shinde's and Ajit Pawar's popularity is not seen as translating into the votes. Because if we are to go by the exit polls,
Okay.
Ajit Pawar's exit polls is showing only 0 to 1 seat. So we can understand. However, Ajit Pawar had contested only on 5 seats, but this number,
All right.
that 1 seat, is also very low. And key constituency, which is Baramati, according to reports, according to experts, it is being said that it is not coming into the hands of Ajit Pawar. And even
Okay.
it's the similar case for Eknath Shinde as well. Because Eknath Shinde, he also fought on 14 seats, but somewhere in the exit polls, if we go by that, 5 to 7 seats are going towards Eknath Shinde, and
Right.
the same number,
Yes, Shama.
large number is going to Uddhav Thackeray. So we understand the dynamics over here is changing, but however, we have to wait for the final results, for the final numbers, because many times exit polls are not exactly accurate, not exactly correct. So we have to wait for the final results.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much, Shama. But let's go back to Deepika. We were talking to Deepika a little earlier. So Shama gave us a large description about what was the expectations after the exit polls. Tell us a little bit also about the expectations in Varanasi after the exit polls.
When we talk about the people of Varanasi, they say that they have voted on the grounds of development, Mark, which means that they've seen a lot of development when we talk about ghats, because ghats have also, they've not only invited tourism, but also have given a boost to the economy of the city, which overall impacts the economic situation of the state. And not only this, it has also given employment opportunities to not only men, but also women, who say that it wouldn't have been possible if we couldn't, if we look at past 10 years, especially 5 years ago, there were no employment opportunities for female. So here they talk about development, and when they talk about development, they are in favor of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. This we heard from many of the voters before the polling, and on the day of polling we couldn't talk about, because of course of the protocol. But then when we analyzed our conversation with all the voters after the polling, before the polling, on ground at different situations, at different locations which are developed, which are under development, there is a sense of there is a sentiment which is pro-BJP, because people are talking about development. They've got employment opportunities here. The hotel business is doing here very good. And despite this peak summer, the influx of people and the tourists is on a very continuous basis. So this clearly, made us to come to a conclusion that the results may go into the favor of Bharatiya Janata Party. And now when we look at the exit poll also, as the BJP has been reiterating, there is no competition now. This reflects, this statement gets a testimony from the exit poll that are now coming in. So we can say that we can now go by the exit poll when we take especially the case of Varanasi, Mark.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thanks very much, Deepika Mehto and Shama Mishra. Thanks for joining us. Now, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has held a meeting to review the post-cyclone situation, especially in relation to the states of the Northeast. The Prime Minister is holding several meetings on June 2. He has completed many of these meetings. The meetings are being held on a wide range of issues. The Prime Minister is reviewing the heat wave situation as well in the country. Prime Minister Modi is holding a meeting, as we said, also about the cyclone, and he's reviewing the preparations for World Environment Day so that the right messaging goes across to the people. and the Prime Minister will also be brainstorming on the agenda for a 100 days program. As per the exit polls, Prime Minister is confident of returning to power. India's Prime Minister also chaired a meeting to review the heat wave, as we said, related situation in the country. Now, the counting of votes is underway for Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh Assembly polls, which were held simultaneously along with the Lok Sabha polls. Security forces have been deployed to avoid any untoward incident during the computation of the votes. In Sikkim, the ruling Sikkim Krantikari Morcha has achieved an absolute majority in the assembly election, and they have almost won, the entire state, 31 out of 32 seats. The opposition Sikkim Democratic Front managed to secure 1 seat in the state. And in Arunachal Pradesh, the BJP returned to power for the third time in a row as the party won 46 seats in the 60-member assembly. They secured a majority. The BJP's ally, Conrad Sangma's National People's Party, has won 5 seats in the state assembly. So festivities have erupted outside the BJP party office in Itanagar in Arunachal Pradesh as the party is celebrating the victory in the assembly elections. Prime Minister Modi also thanked the people of Arunachal Pradesh for the victory of the BJP. The Prime Minister added that the BJP will work with great fervour for the state's development. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked the people who voted for the BJP in Sikkim. Taking to X, the Prime Minister said, "I thank all those who voted for the Sikkim BJP in the assembly elections. I appreciate the efforts put in by our Karyakartas. Our party will always be at the forefront of working towards Sikkim's development and fulfilling people's aspirations." Now, still to come here on DD India News Hour. We'll get you an update on the flood situation in Assam after Cyclone Rimal. And it's the 10th statehood day for Telangana. India has reinforced its reputation as the pharmacy of the world by sending pharmaceutical assistance to Cuba.
Embark on a timeless journey. Unravel the mysteries of a grandiose era. A treasure trove of royal and sacred complexes, temples, shrines, pillared halls, mandapas, rock-cut memorials and more. A spectacular setting of rugged landscape and exemplary workmanship, representing the best of Dravidian architecture. Every structure carved out as a unique artistic creation. A heritage landmark that reflects pure magnificence, integrated within its natural environment. An unexplored haven for nature and adventure enthusiasts. An imposing heritage reflected in its street bazaars and annual festivals of music and culture. Come, be mesmerized by the glorious capital of the Vijayanagar Empire.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. In a landmark achievement in the global health security agenda, the 77th World Health Assembly agreed to the package of amendments to the international health regulations based on 300 proposals made by member countries after the COVID-19 pandemic. These amendments are geared towards enhancing countries' preparedness and also the response to public health emergencies of international concern and pandemic emergencies. They include measures to ensure equitable access to health products during emergencies and mobilize financial resources to support developing countries in building essential capacities under the IHR. India played a constructive role in the crafting of the instrument, which seeks to operationalize equity, which is necessary for an equitable response by developing countries to public health emergencies. New Delhi is all set to get some respite from the heat, as the weather department has predicted light intensity rain or drizzles. Well, a cloudy day and gusty winds also in the evening brought some respite on Saturday, though the prevailing heat wave conditions are likely to abate gradually over the next 2 days. The maximum temperature may settle below 45 degrees Celsius. The heat wave conditions in the city are expected to reduce in coming days. The India Weather Department has issued an alert for heavy rainfall at isolated places over the north and south coastal Andhra Pradesh, Rayalaseema and Yanam in southern India for 5 days. The death toll in the floods in Assam increased to 15 after 3 more people lost their lives in the calamity, as the number of affected population went up to over 600,000. 3 major rivers, Koppili, Barak and Kushiara, were flowing above the danger level. Among the other severely hit districts are Hajoy and Kachchar. More than 41,000 displaced people have taken shelter in 187 relief camps set up in various districts. The NDRF, SDRF and local administration, as well as the people, are engaged in carrying out rescue and relief operations. Road and rail communication in several parts of the state have remained disrupted following the incessant rainfall in the aftermath of the cyclone Rimal. The southern Indian state of Tamil Nadu, the forest department there has installed overhead foggers. This is at the Trichy MR Palyam Elephant Rehabilitation Center and is providing relief to the elephants from the scorching heat. The foggers reduce the temperature by 3 to 5 degrees Celsius compared to the external atmosphere, which helps to provide much needed relief from the heat. Dietary adjustments also have been made for the elephants to help them stay hydrated and nourished. The southern Indian state of Telangana is marking its formation day today. The state came into being on the 2nd of June 2014. The President of India, Draupadi Murmu, sent greetings to the people of Telangana with a statement on X. She highlighted the state's rich heritage and also prayed for lasting prosperity. The Vice President, Jagdeep Dhankar, also extended greetings to the people of Telangana and wished them for the continued development of the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also took to X to wish the people of Telangana, and he said, and I quote, "Every Indian takes great pride in the state's contribution to national progress and that the government remains committed towards Telangana's development." In a tragic incident, at least 7 people of a family, they were all members of a family, including 5 children, drowned after a boat that they were traveling in capsized in central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. The incident occurred on Saturday in Shivpur when this boat carrying 10 people capsized in the Seep River, which is a tributary of the Chambal River. Now, the President of India, Draupadi Murmu, and the Vice President, Jagdeep Dhankar, including the Chief Minister of Madhya Pradesh, have expressed their grief over the loss of lives, and they wished a speedy recovery to the injured. India has sent humanitarian assistance to Cuba. The Indian Ministry of External Affairs, the spokesperson Randeep Jaiswal, in a social media post said a consignment of 90 tons of 9 made-in-India active pharmaceutical ingredients, or APIs, left the Mundra port for Cuba on June 2. The APIs will support manufacture of essential medicines. The assistance reaffirms India's role as the pharmacy of the world and underlines India's commitment to Cuba ties, India-Cuba ties. Let's take a look at other stories making the news now. The police have formed over 12 teams to probe multiple aspects of the Pune Porsche accident, which allegedly involved a minor driver. The accident killed 2 people. Police have registered 3 separate cases. So far, the minor boy's father, grandfather and mother have been arrested. Delhi's water woes continued after the capital has faced a severe water crisis amid the acute heat wave here, with temperatures, as we know, soaring up to 50 degrees and above in places. Water is supplied through water tankers and residents are enduring long waits. Offline registrations for the Char Dham Yatra, a Hindu pilgrimage circuit in North Indian state of Uttarakhand, began on Friday. Now, crowds of devotees gathered for the registration at the offices in Haridwar as they prepare for the pilgrimage, which includes 4 sacred sites. The gates of the Valley of Flowers, which is a World Heritage Site declared by UNESCO in the northern Indian state of Uttarakhand, opened for tourists on Saturday. The first batch of 48 tourists was flagged off from Gangharia Base Camp for the valley. Now, still to come here on DD India News Hour. Mexicans head to the polls for presidential elections. Both the main candidates are women. The African National Congress is facing a new reality as the poll results leave them needing partners to stay in power. And China says that a Philippine vessel in the South China Sea last month carried guns on deck.
A confluence of spirituality, knowledge and culture. The progenitor of democracy, Bihar holds a special place in India's history. Treasure the journey of enlightenment. Travel the holy circuit trails of multiple faiths. Experience the legacy of ancient India. And an educational lineage that produced some of the greatest luminaries of the time. Discover a multitude of art and craft forms. Savor the true flavors of the land and enjoy the sights and sounds of iconic festivals. Delve deeper into the natural beauty of this land, enriched by the sacred river Ganga. Today, Bihar's infrastructure is at the heart of its transformation. Poised to take a big leap with initiatives in agriculture, education, tourism, and information technology. An ode to a remarkable history. Bihar truly offers a glimpse into a captivating past and vibrant present. Welcome to Bihar.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. Here's a recap of our main stories. Results to India's general elections to be announced on June 4. Political parties and electorate wait with bated breath. Exit polls predict the ruling NDA is retaining a third term in power. Prime Minister Modi holds a series of meetings on issues related to extreme weather and associated preparedness. The meetings also put into perspective World Environment Day on June 5. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterates that the conditions that Israel has to end the conflict with Hamas have not changed. The targeted IDF operations continue in Gaza. Real Madrid win the 15th UEFA Champions League title, the 5th for coach Ancelotti. Carvajal and Vinicius Jr. score for the winners. Well, updates now on the Israel-Hamas conflict and the Gaza conflict mediators on Saturday. They've urged Israel and Hamas to finalize a ceasefire and hostage release deal. The mediators from Qatar, Egypt and the United States called on both Hamas and Israel to conclude an agreement that embodies the principles outlined by the US President. The three countries in a joint statement said that these principles bring together the demands of all parties in a deal that serves multiple interests and would bring immediate relief to people in Gaza and to the hostages and their families. The statement further read, and I quote, "This agreement provides a roadmap for a permanent ceasefire and an ending to the crisis." Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Saturday has reiterated the conditions to end the conflict with Hamas have not changed. In a post on the social media site X, the Israeli Prime Minister's office said, and I quote, "Israel's conditions for ending the war have not changed. The destruction of Hamas military and governing capabilities, the freeing of all hostages, and the ensuring that Gaza no longer poses a threat to Israel. Under the proposal, Israel will continue to insist these conditions are met before a permanent ceasefire is put in place. The notion that Israel will agree to a permanent ceasefire before these conditions are fulfilled is a non-starter," unquote. Thousands of Israelis have again taken to the streets of Tel Aviv on Saturday, putting pressure on their government and Prime Minister to strike a deal with Hamas that will see the release of Israeli captives held in Gaza. A large banner was carried by some members of the crowd, pleading with US President Joe Biden to save the captives by exerting pressure on Netanyahu to accept a ceasefire deal. Among those in the rally was Avi Ofer, who has been on a hunger strike for 28 days. These protests have been occurring every weekend for months, with demonstrators also calling for early elections. News from the Shangri-La Dialogue now. A senior Chinese military official said that the double standards of the United States are creating chaos around the world. During a press briefing at the Shangri-La Dialogue, Lieutenant General Jing Zhangfen of the Chinese Defense Ministry delegation asserted that the US adheres to rules that align with its own interests.
US uses the rules and orders as hegemonic narratives. When these rules and orders serve its interest, the US employs them. When they do not, the US discards them. The US uses the rules to suppress others but never to restrain itself. It has always acted egotistically, doing whatever it wants.
The United States Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, the Japanese Defense Minister Minoru Kihara, and the South Korean Defense Minister Shin Won-sik. They held a trilateral meeting on Sunday on the sidelines of the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore. Austin is working to refocus attention on China's threat in the Asia-Pacific, and he is seeking to alleviate concerns that conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza have distracted from America's security commitments in the region. Ukraine's President Zelensky, during the Shangri-La Dialogue on Sunday, said that 106 countries and organizations had so far agreed to participate in a summit in Switzerland aimed at bringing peace to his conflict-torn country. Zelensky thanked countries, including the United States, Germany and the Netherlands, for their military assistance, particularly with air defense systems amid renewed attacks from Russian forces. Heads of state, senior ministers and officials from 55 countries are participating in the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore. And my colleague Jessica Taneja has been following this story very closely, and she joins us in the studio now. Jessica, so the Chinese have been rather harsh with their words, if you look at it. They've said that the Indo-Pacific strategy, really serves only the self-interests of, or hegemonic interests of the United States, and not for global good. How do you view, China's presence in this? Is it confrontational towards everybody else?
Well, Mark, it's a rare opportunity to hear Chinese military officials at multilateral forums such as the Shangri-La Dialogue. So it was an important place, so to say, for them to be able to put out their concerns and their counters to various allegations that they receive, not even including America, but also their partners across Asia. And if you see, the tone this time has been hard and slightly more shrill than before if you read through what the analysts are saying this time around. Multiple allegations on China surface at the Shangri-La Dialogue. You talk about their coercive military actions in the East China Sea or the South China Sea, be it with Japanese, or the tensions in the Taiwan Strait, as you and I have been watching since the last 1 month when the new president of Taiwan, Lai Ching-te, was sworn in, and those military drills continue as you and I speak. So situations across the Taiwan Strait and the Indo-Pacific overall seems to be very tense, military and security-wise. And seeing representation of Lloyd Austin assuring his Asian allies that yes, America will continue to provide the kind of security guarantees it has provided in the past, keeping them surfaced and offering to an extent the fact that there has been an $8 billion bill that was passed specifically for America's Indo-Pacific strategy. So a great deal, he said, is being done. But then, as I said earlier, it's a rare, it's rare to hear military officials from China speak for the first time. If you saw the military-to-military talks between the United States and the Chinese side, with the Chinese Defense Minister, Dong Jin, resumed nearly after 2 years, if you recall again, hampered because of then US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit. So a lot of ambivalence and some would even say animosity in the air, but a dialogue forward is what is being thought of as a possible solution.
The Chinese, the US has met the Chinese, the Japanese and the South Koreans have also met the Chinese. But the Chinese Coast Guard too has been announcing things, not at the Shangri-La Dialogue, but elsewhere, that, things that happened 1 month ago in the South China Sea with the Philippines. The Philippines president was also there in Shangri-La, saying that, the ship that they stopped had weapons on board. So do you think that, there is some sort of, the tone that China is adopting is not one of dialogue, it's really one of confrontation?
Well, if you look at a few takeaways and if you read through what is being said and what are the main takeaways from what the Chinese side has been able to provide to the world as to what their perspective is really, is the fact that many say that the Chinese come to these talk shops, agree with the current set of rules, etc. For example, yes, they would say that they're providing support to Russia, Russia's defense industrial base. They have put control on the export of dual-use items. So a lot of these things are said, but on the other hand, the accusations remain both from the Americans and, of course, the partners that you pointed out, especially the Philippines. You saw representation of the Philippines President Marcos Jr. himself coming out and saying that there is a lot of support that the Philippines needs. Even as we speak, the Chinese Coast Guard is engaged in a coercive battle of sorts with the Philippines vessels with the water cannon fight currently happening. So there is a lot that is happening in the region, particularly with a lot of partners concerned, even to the Japanese, as you pointed out earlier, towards the Senkaku Islands, and not to forget the Okinawa Prefecture, which is very close, nearly 100 kilometers just away from the Taiwan Straits. So a lot at stake for all these partners present there, not to forget South Korea as well, where North Korean ballistic missiles tests and the nuclear threat is looming large, and American security guarantees are required more than just written words.
Also, the presence of Zelensky there, and the fact that he's trying to get as much support as he can to end this conflict with this peace summit that's supposed to take place in Switzerland. But apart from that, he's also trying to get as much military support as possible. He was not able to meet the Chinese.
Well, certainly, yes. He wasn't able to meet the Chinese. That's what he told in a press conference later. He said that the Ukrainian side did have a desire and wanted to reach out to the Chinese officials, but they did not give out reasons as to why there was no meeting between them and the Chinese. Because if you hear through the speech that Volodymyr Zelensky gave, the half-an-hour speech talks evidently about the Chinese support to the Russian defense industrial base, and of course also how China has been able to aid the Russian economy and its weaponry, given the fact that there are looming threats right now in the Kharkiv region, the northeast region of Ukraine, where intense battle continues. So much so as 100 missiles were fired from Russia, and Ukraine needs weaponry, even though the US is going to send the $60 billion aid, but that is still yet to come. There is all the support that Ukraine needs, even for the upcoming Ukraine Peace Summit that is due to take place in Switzerland. In fact, another allegation made by Volodymyr Zelensky was the fact that Russia is trying to stop a lot of countries to participate in the Ukraine Peace Summit through more coercive actions. And China, as you know, has already refused to participate in that Ukraine Peace Summit that is due to be held there. So a lot of tensions and a lot of support being sought by Volodymyr Zelensky. But then again, a rare appearance by him, because this Shangri-La Dialogue is usually a talk shop for the top military officials of the world. So again, the importance hinged there.
So finally, net, how's China going away from Shangri-La? Do you think they would go away feeling pleased with themselves or their diplomacy, or looking at the way everybody else seems to have got together and given a mouthful back to China, doesn't seem to have got what they wanted? They've also raised issues about Taiwan, and we can see that the Taiwanese leadership is not on board. So, I mean, it looks like, I mean, this is just observation that perhaps they're looking isolated.
Well, one may think so, but it's the Chinese. I mean, if you go by what Deng Xiaoping once said, hide your strength, bide your time, do not take the lead. And by now we know China is not hiding its strength, it's not biding with time, it's hoping and waiting to take the lead as and when it gains certain economic advantages. But for the moment, the economy is stumbling, and China does not seem to be doing good in that particular area. But the few takeaways for the Chinese would be able to respond to allegations that have been surfacing against them, especially with their military preoccupations in the South China Sea, East China Sea, and especially at the Taiwan Strait, where after Lai Ching-te, who's been called a separatist by the Chinese, it is absolutely unacceptable for the Chinese to have a Taiwanese president who advocates openly for independence, or at least wants the status quo, which is strategic ambiguity, to maintain. So a lot of takeaways there, but only time will tell on how China would sort of respond to it. But so far from the dialogue, you've seen military officials to spokespersons to various ministers and admirals speak out and respond to all the allegations that have been put forth.
Jessica Taneja, thanks very much. Well, Mexicans head to the polls on Sunday in a historic presidential election in which the two main candidates are women, ushering in a new political era for the Latin American country, the second largest economy in the Latin American area. In fact, Mexico's next president will inherit a country with lagging economic growth and an elevated rate of violent crime, especially related to drug trafficking at the hands of the country's powerful cartels. South Africa's Election Commission expected to announce the final results of the country's general elections in the evening as the coalition talks are set to start as well after the African National Congress has lost a majority after 30 years, though they are the largest party in the House. Now, as of now, the ANC party had received around 40% of the votes, according to the results from 99.89% of the polling stations, and the Democratic Alliance had received around 21% of the votes. Joblessness, inequality and power shortages slashed support for the ANC to 40% in 2024 elections. The ANC must now share power, likely with a major rival like the Democratic Alliance of Zuma's MK party, in an unprecedented move. Iran's hardliner former president Mohammad Ahmadinejad has registered to run for the president in the upcoming election on June 28. The election, organized after the death of Ibrahim Raisi in a helicopter crash last month. Ahmadinejad previously served 2 four-year terms from 2005 to 2013. Under Iranian law, he became eligible to run again after 4 years out of office, but he remains a polarizing figure even among fellow hardliners. Iran's present culture and Islamic guidance minister Mohammad Ismaili and the former lawmaker Mohammad Sedeghi, they have also registered to run for the presidential election on Sunday. Political parties in Europe are campaigning for the upcoming European Parliament election. Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, addressed the campaign rally, and she did so on Sunday. She said that the next European Parliament should copy the current Italian model of government, drawing together all parties on the right to rule together. Meloni is the head of the Right Brothers for Italy party, and she is also one of Europe's most closely watched leaders. She has presented herself as a bridge between the mainstream centre-right and her own arch-conservative camp. Now, around 400 million European citizens are registered to vote on June 6 to 8 to elect members of the European Parliament. China's defense chief Dong Jun has warned that prospects of peaceful reunification of Taiwan were being eroded and promised to ensure the island would never gain independence. He was addressing the Shangri-La Dialogue conference on Sunday. China views democratically governed Taiwan as its own territory over the strong objections of the government in Taipei, and last month staged war games around the island in anger at the May 20 inauguration of President Lai Ching-te, who Beijing calls a separatist. Dong said Taiwan was the core of the issues for China, but Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party is incrementally pursuing separatism and is bent on erasing Chinese identity. He accused foreign powers of interfering in domestic issues and emboldening Taiwan separatists. Dong called the arms sales a test of China's red lines. The Chinese state broadcaster CCTV on Sunday said that personnel on the Philippine vessel in the South China Sea last month carried guns on deck. China's Coast Guard had said that the incident occurred near the Second Thomas Shoal, which is in the area of the South China Sea, where Beijing and Manila have had an escalating maritime dispute for months. China has accused the Philippines of trespassing and of treachery, while Manila has slammed Beijing for what it says is a policy of aggression and dangerous maneuvering inside its exclusive economic zone. Still to come here on DD India News Hour, Pragnananda stuns the world number 2 Fabiano Caruana after upsetting the world number 1 Magnus Carlsen as well in classical chess. He's now climbed into the top 10.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs, with a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn. And let's get you the sports news now. Well, India's Amit Panghal has secured a ticket for the Paris Olympics, and he defeated Liu Chuang of China in a unanimous 5-0 decision in the men's 51 kg category at the second World Boxing Qualifiers in Bangkok on Sunday. The 28-year-old is the second Indian male boxer to qualify for the 2024 Olympics after Nishant Dev had booked his spot after beating Moldova's Vasil Chebotarii 5-0 in the men's 71 kg event. Panghal has only one shot at making the Paris Olympics after he had lost out in the World Championship bronze medalist to Deepak Bhoria in the selection assessment for the earlier two qualifying events. So this was his last chance, and he's done so. India's Praggnanandhaa has continued to produce top quality chess as he stunned the world number 2 Fabiano Caruana in round 5 of the Norway chess on Saturday night. Praggnanandhaa achieved the distinction of beating both the world number 1 Magnus Carlsen and the world number 2 Caruana in classical chess for the first time ever. The upset win helped the Indian prodigy break into the top 10 of the chess world rankings. Prag, as he's popularly known in the chess world, had earlier beaten Carlsen in round 3 of the tournament. Real Madrid were crowned kings of Europe for a record-extending 15th time with a 2-0 victory over Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League final on Saturday. Defender Carvajal headed in from Toni Kroos's corner on the 74th minute before Vinicius fired home, extending Madrid's record as the most successful club in the competition's history. Going as huge favourites into the game, the Spanish side were outplayed for long periods of the game, but broke Dortmund's resistance with late goals. It was hard on the German side, who missed several good first-half chances, the best of which had seen Niklas Füllkrug's hit the post from close range. Narayan Singh is with us, so it was closer than it looks, Narayan. Dortmund missing many opportunities, but in the end, what is it with Real Madrid that they keep winning?
Mark, if you talk about the Real Madrid sides, we know that the number of titles they won in the Europe's elite competition, UEFA Champions League, 15 titles they have under their belt. If you take a look at the team who is placed at the second place in the number of titles, we call that AC Milan has 7 titles under their belt. So the difference is huge. They have more than the double number of titles than the team at the second place. This shows the grip of the Real Madrid at the UEFA Champions League, and they have showed that they are the specialists of this tournament, and they are truly the kings of the European football. And if you talk about Borussia Dortmund, they have many chances in the first half, and the way Karim Adeyemi missed the 2 chances in the first half, and after that Niklas Füllkrug to have a chance, but his shot deflected from the post. Right. But if you can say that Real Madrid, they have a equally balanced side, a mix of the youth and experience. The players like Bellingham and the Vinicius Jr. are gelling well with the club's legends like Toni Kroos, Luka Modric, Nacho, and the other player like Carvajal.
Right, and talking about Luka Modric, he was supposed to retire, but it looks like his contract has been extended and he's back in action.
Definitely, if you talk about Luka Modric, this is the 6th Champions League with the Real Madrid. So we can say that in the current setup of the Real Madrid, there are 4 players who have 6 Champions Leagues under their belt. This shows that the legacy of the Real Madrid in the European football. And after COVID, when we saw that the Real Madrid was going through a phase of transition, and where after the exit of their coach Zinedine Zidane, their star player Ronaldo, and after that Gareth Bale, then Karim Benzema. So it was looking like that the empire of the Real Madrid at the Santiago Bernabeu will fall down, but the management did an excellent job by hiring Carlo Ancelotti as a coach, and the cool and the calm coach with his clever tactics. He brought all the players at the one table, and the way we can say that the most important thing is that the atmosphere he created in the dressing room. We can say that he made a balance between the young players and the club stalwarts, and the results are in front of everything. And as a coach also, this Champions League was his 5th and 3rd with Real Madrid, and as a player also Carlo Ancelotti won 2 Champions League. So all in all, the thing is that we can say that the kind of football their star players like Toni Kroos, Luka Modric are playing, definitely we can say that still they can go very long.
So would you say that Ancelotti made the difference in the end? I mean, when did he join as a coach? And they won 3 quite quickly under him, isn't it? Probably since 2014 or something? When was the last time? In fact, when did he join Real Madrid?
If we talk about his first stint, he won the Champions League with the Real Madrid in 2014. After that, Zinedine Zidane joined, and he won 3 consecutive titles for the Real Madrid. Again, after that, when then Zidane left, then in 2021, after the COVID-19, they bought Carlo Ancelotti again, and he won their last title in 2022 and again in the 2024. And we can say that the Midas touch and the astute leadership of the Carlo Ancelotti was a key factor. But the kind of player, the new Galacticos, the new Galacticos after the departure of Ronaldo, Benzema and Gareth Bale, they bought the players like Bellingham, who was the La Liga player of the season, and also the Laurel breakthrough player of the season. So these players made quite a difference for the Real Madrid.
Okay, we leave it there. Thanks very much, Narayan Singh, joining us with all those inputs. Now, tens of thousands of Real Madrid supporters celebrated their club's 15th Champions League victory. Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for all of you on the go, you can get news and updates from across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app's available both on Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on your screen and download it. I'm Mark Lynn, and from all of us here, thanks very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.